So to do this one here with the root beer mug, it says that the person pushes on this root beer mug with 4 newtons over a distance of 1 meter. And they want to know how much work you did. They mention that it's initially at rest, so its initial velocity is 0. And then over here in the end, they want to know how much kinetic energy it has and how fast it's going. So this is the easiest part to deal with first. How much work did you do? So work, then remember, is force times distance times the cosine of the angle between the two. So we can plug all of that stuff in. They gave us the force, it's 4 newtons. They gave us the distance, it's 1 meter. And we're just going to assume that it moves this way and that the force is also that way. So the cosine of the angle is 0 degrees between those two, which just makes it 1. So it's just 4 times 1. So that means 4 joules of work was done. And so you can fill that in here. 4 joules of work done. The initial velocity is 0. And since kinetic energy is 1/2 times mass times final velocity squared, if the velocity is 0, then the initial kinetic energy is 0. I'll put a little 0 there for initial. So 0 joules of kinetic energy. Now, work equals the change in kinetic energy. So if we did 4 joules of work, our kinetic energy changes by 4 joules. We started off at 0, so we'll go 4 more than that, and that means in the end, we have 4 joules of kinetic energy. And then you can set this with the kinetic energy equation to find the velocity. So one more thing is they did say up in the problem that the mass of this mug is 1 kilogram. So let's set it up. We know our kinetic energy in the end has got to be equal to 4 joules, and we also know our kinetic energy has got to be equal to 1/2 times mass times velocity squared. So let's plug that in there. 4 joules equals 1/2, mass is 1 kilogram, and solve for velocity squared. So multiply each side by 2 to get rid of that half. So we wind up with an 8 over here is equal to 1 times v squared. Divide each side by a 1 to get rid of that, but that doesn't really do anything. So 8 equals v squared. So v equals the square root of 8, which pull in the, let's see here, that becomes about 2 root 2, which is about 2.8 if you put it into your calculator.